Hello traders, so in this video I will share a simple method on how you can draw a potential trend line. Trend lines are probably the most common form of technical analysis in trading, but unfortunately most beginner traders don't draw them correctly. That's why in today's video you will learn what is a trend line and how does it work. How to draw a trend line correctly that most beginner traders never find out. How to use trend lines to identify the direction of the trend and tell when the market condition has changed. So, what is a trend line and how does it work? You know, support and resistance are horizontal areas on your chart that shows potential buying selling pressure. And it's the same for trend line. The only difference is a trend line isn't horizontal but sloping. So my definition for a trend line is very simple. The sloping area on the chart that shows upward buying pressure is called upward trend line or ascending trend line. The sloping area on the chart that shows downward selling pressure is called downward trend line or descending trend line. First, let's learn how not to draw your trend line. Clearly, this is garbage. How do you know which trend lines are important and which to ignore? You have no idea. So listen carefully. Here is how you can draw a trend line correctly. So rule number 1, focus only on the major swing points and ignore everything else. Rule number 2, connect at least 2 major swing points. And last, rule number 3, adjust it so that you get the most number of touches, whether it's body or wick, and that's how you can draw a potential trend line. It's that simple. How to use trend line to identify the market condition. All you need to do is draw your trend line and ask yourself, is the trend line pointing higher or lower? If it is higher, then the market is in uptrend and vice versa. But that's not all. A trend line can also alert you when market conditions are changing. All you have to do is pay attention to the steepness of the trend line. For example, if your trend line is getting flatter, it means the market is moving into a ranging condition. And if your trend line is getting steeper, it means the trend is becoming stronger. Knowing this is important because if you know market conditions are changing, you can adjust your trading strategy accordingly. Here are some important things to remember using trend line in forex trading. It takes at least 2 swings to draw a valid trend line, but it takes 3 to confirm a trend line. The steeper the trend line you draw, the less reliable it is going to be and the more likely it will break. Like horizontal support and resistance level, trend lines become stronger the more times they are tested. And last, most importantly, do not ever draw trend lines by forcing them to fit the market. If they do not fit right, then that trend line isn't a valid one. So this is the first example about the trend line setup, but before explaining you about it, I want you to recall all the information that I have shared in this video. So the rules are as follows. The number 1 rule is to draw your trend line based on the major swing points. So you have to focus on the major swing points only and avoid everything else. There are like the levels that are very obvious in your chart. The number 2 rule is to connect at least 2 major swing points so that you can say that it's a valid trend line. And the last rule is that you have to adjust your trend line in such a way that it get most touches from the chart as well. And a bonus tip for you is that 2 touches validates a trend line, but if you get 3 touches on a trend line, it will confirm and it is a confirmed trend line. So you in this video in the next 1 or 2 minutes, I will show you example which are a confirmed trend line. See, 2 touches validates a trend line, but if you get 3 touches, you can use it in the future for a longer period of time. Like in this example, you can see it's a support trend line, but if it's been broken, we can use it as a resistance trend line, because you can see we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a confirmed trend line. Now let's understand this example with our rules. So the first rule is you have to focus on the major swing points. I can say that this is a major swing points. This is also a major swing point. It's also a major swing point, and this is also a major swing point. It's very, like, they are very obvious levels for me on this particular chart. Now the rule number 2 is to connect at least 2 major swing points. So this is the first major swing point and this is the second one. If you connect it, you will see that market is responding to this trend line, which later on confirms that this is a working trend line, because 2 touches validates a trend line, and the third touch reflection, like the bounce back from the trend line, shows that it's a confirmed trend line, and you can see it worked in the future as well. So now you know the rules. Now let's move on to the further parts.